Welcome! It's Mud Dog with the Texas Space Navy bringing you another Star Citizen video. I wanted to start this video off by showing this little screenshot I took last night. Texas was the top most active organization on the RSI webpage. So we have surpassed all the other orgs, at least last night, as being the most active. I think that goes into actual in-game hours spent, hours on Spectrum posting, and new membership, where you know how many people you're getting in new to the org. So a big shout out to everybody in my org for making that happen. I know we've slipped a couple places overnight. That's all right. I think by the end of the night we will probably be back on top. I can't say how much I appreciate the activity from the guys within the org. A lot of them are playing very regularly. They are teaming up on a regular basis, and we're participating in Spectrum quite a bit, and we've got more people coming into the org. So really awesome. I think at the time of this posting, we're now up to 137, 138 people in the org. We hope to continue growing that. We want to grow overseas in Europe, Asia, and Australia, New Zealand area. We want you guys to have teams that you can participate with during your time zones, and so Texas will have a presence all day long, all year long. So that's the goal. So guys, thank you so much for that again. If you're interested in joining the org, that information is going to be in the description down below, as well as at the end of this video, where you can look us up. We are Texas, and it is on the org pages of Star Citizen. Just look for our org with about that many members in it, and you can join up. So let's get into the topic of today's video, which is Star Citizen Live. I've been asked by a few different people inside the org, outside the org, to do some of these videos, kind of giving my take on the community videos that CIG puts out, which would be Star Citizen Live, Inside Star Citizen, Calling All Devs, just to name the ones going on right now. So I have usually kept my hands off of doing these kinds of videos because I felt like other people really own that space. That's probably not the best way to put that, because it's YouTube and people go over stuff all the time. So I've just not done a lot of, or had a strong feeling towards doing some of these videos, because I know there's a lot of people that are really good at doing them. Somebody else brought it to my attention that, well, I may like the way that some of those YouTubers do those videos, but other people may like the way that I do them. So I should give it a shot. So here I am. I'm going to give it a shot for you guys. Please leave feedback in the comments down below, and let me know how you feel about me attempting to do some of these videos on the community outreach that CIG has through their videos. So let's get into it. This week's Star Citizen Live, you got Jeremiah Lee, who is, I guess, a design artist, and then you have, of course, Jared Disco Lando, who is head of the community, more or less. We also had, Will Weizenbaum come on. He is one of the story guys, so he works with the lore team. They all three were on this, so Will comes in a little bit later, because today's topic, or yesterday's topic, I should say, was uniforms of the UEE during the Tevarin War, the second Tevarin War. So, as some of you may or may not know, when the UEE was at war with the Tevarin, which was probably, 200, 300 years before the current timeline in Star Citizen, they were under the Messer period, the Messer emperors. These were the guys that ruled with an iron fist, and thankfully they were overthrown eventually. That led to the modern UEE. Good or bad. The Messers were definitely a very military-minded group of emperors. So they were trying to come up with a cool uniform that was 200 or 300 years older than the current uniform in Star Citizen, which you can see on the left there, and something that still looked futuristic because the game is still participating in a future timeline. So he had his work cut out for him, and it was pretty interesting, his thought process. This whole video was about the process that they go through in order to create these different designs, whether it be uniform, ships, little doodads, whatever it is. This is kind of his process on how they do that. He even talked about what he does individually. Is he listening to an audiobook, or is he listening to music, or maybe he gets with other tech designers and they brainstorm different ideas. You can see he always starts with a reference wall so that he can kind of get an idea of where to go with it. And since the Tevarin War was such a big thing, especially going into the second Tevarin War, he felt like there should be some elements that reflect the Tevarin culture a little bit of the time, which I kind of disagreed with personally, because if you're at war with this group, this species, you're probably not going to have anything from them that reflects in your own uniform. I just wouldn't think that you would, because they are the enemy. They're somebody you despise. You're having to kill these beings. So I wouldn't think that they would actually adopt elements from the Tevarin into their uniform at this time period. Now, if you were to say in the current UEE uniforms, I would say yes, because they have assimilated to Tevarin into the modern UEE civilization. So I would think the modern uniforms would have elements of Tevarin style or culture built into them, especially if they wanted the Tevarin to feel more like they were part of the UEE. So that was something I just disagreed upon with them when they were talking about it within this video. Now, when it comes down to what their final product was, I didn't really see the Tevarin influence, so that's probably a good thing that it, ended up where it did. What they did end up with, which I'll show you here, before the end of the video, obviously, is something that looked very imperial. In other words, it was somewhat flashy. An officer would want to show off his rank so that he could have some air of power amongst them, especially in comparison to other officers or the enlisted men. So that was something that they were really trying to push for. When Will got on the call, he was like, yeah, they really want it to be something that, could kind of show off your power level to other people. That force projection. So Will was also talking about how they might be more utilitarian back in the Messer era, where the uniform would have to be functional in addition to showy. So I kind of liked that idea, and I believe that it should be that way, but that's why our military, has dress uniforms, and then what they would actually wear in the field, like their fatigues or whatever. And actually now they have multiple different kinds for whatever scenario they're going into. So I think they should have narrowed down the topic of uniform as a dress uniform, which is what it looked more like to me, rather than something that would have been worn in the field. I think they should have made that distinction within the video, and it should have helped formulate the idea behind the uniform that they were going for. To me, that would have been what would kind of help with the brainstorming idea. It was kind of funny. They had these little pokes at Jared throughout the video. They threw his faces on different bodies or his pictures in different places. Jeremiah was pretty funny there by having kind of like a cuddling look video or cuddling picture that he added to the video. Pretty funny to have that interspersed throughout. If you want to know what software he's using, it looks like he's using Photoshop for all his editing here. I am not a Photoshop guru. Actually, I'm not much of a graphic design artist. Unfortunately, I don't have that background. I would love to learn it, but he goes through a lot of this pretty quickly. Only graphic designers would probably know exactly what he's doing because of how fast he's moving through it. It looks like Photoshop makes a lot of this stuff pretty easy to do. Sorry, that was my phone. That needs to be muted. And so he flies through it pretty quick. He does a lot of work in a short amount of time, which he's like, I hate having to do this in an hour. I can totally understand why. And of course his final product is still a little rough, but he will go back after the episode and probably clean it up, because he had talked about how he would really like to get his creation in the game for real, which will be very interesting to see if it makes it in. Evidently, when they worked on the Microtech uniform, the Microtech clothing for one of these Inside Star Citizens, it did make it in the game as subscriber flair. So if you're a subscriber to the game, you'll be able to see that and get that in your hangar, and for you to be able to wear on Microtech, I'm guessing in the next couple of months. So that's kind of neat. I'm sure he's kind of, he's thrilled about that. He really petitioned for it to get in, and it was able to get in. So very cool. So they are taking some different ideas. He usually brainstorms 3 or 4 different concepts and throws them down quickly in a rough manner, and then he will start really working on 1 or 2 ideas and fleshing it out and making them look really good before he ends up with a final idea or final concept. Now, I don't know exactly what approval process he goes through, like who he answers to as far as getting all this stuff approved. So I'm sure he has to go to one of the producers that he answers to, and then they take it to Chris Roberts and the other producers, and everybody decides, well, we really like this idea, or we don't like it, or hey, can you change this about it? They didn't really talk about that in the video itself, but I'm sure that's kind of the process that they go through. Now, with Photoshop, he's working in multiple layers, so he's got the main picture layer that's down there, and then he's actually creating new layers for all these different items, like this cape. It's a brand new layer, so he can actually click it off. There's a little eye icon that he can click it off to where you won't see that layer anymore, just the layers underneath. So Photoshop is pretty cool, it looks like, when it comes to doing some of those things. I have some other graphic design programs that I play with from time to time that are supposed to be pretty good as well, that I will actually have some ideas from watching this video on how to use a little bit more. I really wish I could, actually take a course, a week crash course or something on how to do some of this stuff. It would be really cool to learn. This video also gave me an idea to kind of challenge some of you guys who watch this video. Maybe you'd be interested in designing a Texas Space Navy dress uniform. Obviously, it will never make it into the game, but it could be pretty cool to have. If you guys are so inclined and want to design something that the Texas Space Navy would wear as dress uniforms, that would be totally cool, and maybe you guys will earn a giveaway or something. The guys who do the best job, maybe we can do something like that. That would be really neat. You guys let me know in the comments what you think about doing something like that. Would you be interested in doing it? Are there any of you out there that are graphic design capable that would be interested in taking a little bit of time of doing it? I know it's, if you do it for a living, you probably don't want to do it for fun, but some of you might. So yeah, let me know what you think. This video, like I said, it goes on for an hour and 10 minutes, so they actually go over their normal time. Everybody's doing it from home because of the COVID-19 stuff. So I don't know exactly why they decided to do this era. I think it has something to do with the fact that COVID-19 had hit and they're not doing anything in studio. So that, it might be kind of like other content creators where they just had to come up with something, and this is what they decided to come up with. They were really digging this last design, so they decided to work on it more as the main one for this episode. And here they're just adding a little bit more of the finer details. They have the chain on the shoulder that they added earlier, the sash that goes across, that's going to hold medals. They have a rank on the shoulder on our right, and on the left they have the UEE insignia, which they kind of went back and forth over what it would actually look like during the Messer era. Because Jared feels like a lot of things would have changed since the Messer era, because that's a really frowned upon time. It's really dark in human history. The emperors were not nice people. So they thought, Jared was thinking, well, in current times we would have gone as far away from them as possible. So they had this burgundy color that they decided on for the uniform, as opposed to the current blue. And Will was saying, well, some things they might want to maintain from the Messer period. Some people like that stuff. So they kind of tried to do a little bit of both. Really cool how he does the medals here. That was really neat. So it was kind of an interesting video on the whole process of it. A lot of people probably find it boring, to be honest. I hope you guys like my take on it. This is their final product that they came up with. I'm sure he's going to clean it up and present that to anybody and everybody a little bit more, and he decided to put Jared's face on it, and Jared decided to cut away from it. So it's pretty cool. You guys tell me what you think, and next time maybe I will try to do this from a different vantage point. Again, this was my first attempt at it, so I hope you guys enjoyed my video of their video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon to let you know when I do more videos. I am still doing a video a day pace. We'll do that for a little bit longer, or as long as I can. Sometimes things come up and I may end up missing a few days. We may end up working more on the quality side than the quantity side. We will see. I'm Mud Dog with the Texas Space Navy, and I'll see you out in the verse.